Ryan Fowler's mock draft post free agency. Drake Maye becomes QB2 over Jayden Daniels and goes to those Washington Commanders. We're going to talk about that fit and more coming up next.
You are Locked On NFL Draft, your daily podcast covering the NFL Draft. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What's up, Locked On family? Welcome back to the Locked On NFL Draft Podcast, your daily podcast covering your favorite draft prospects, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. I'm your boy, Damian Parsons, always on the ones and twos. You can find and follow me on X at DP_NFL. I'm a national scout and senior draft analyst. And guys, thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, man. And I got to kick this intro over to my guy, Mr. LSU himself, the birthday boy himself, Keith Sanchez, who's back on the show. So, you can find and follow him on X at The Talent Code. Can you talk to him, baby?
What's up, Locked On family? Let's get locked in. This is Keith Sanchez, 2019 national champ with those LSU Bengal Tigers, man, here to bring that championship level content surrounding the NFL draft 24/7, 365, where we talk draft strategy, we talk draft prospects, and DP. On Mondays, we talk mock draft Mondays over here, man. We're going over our guy Ryan Fowler's latest mock draft, post-free agency mock draft. And I'll say this, DP, that the free agency period, right, shook up a lot of stuff as far as team needs, right, and positional value situation. So we're going to have some fun. We're going to get into that conversation of this mock draft. Like we talk about Drake Maye, he's QB2 in this mock draft. We're going to see where Jayden Daniels fell. But DP, before we get started, man, why don't you hit him with our title sponsor?
Today's episode is brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. All right, family, you know what time it is. Let's go start from 1 through 10. Chicago Bears, no Justin Fields. Caleb Williams comes on down, quarterback out of USC. Number 2, the Washington Commanders select Drake Maye, quarterback from North Carolina at pick number 3. The New England Patriots select Jayden Daniels, quarterback from LSU. At pick number 4, the Arizona Cardinals select Marvin Harrison Jr., wide receiver from Ohio State. At pick number 5, the Los Angeles Chargers select Malik Neighbors, wide receiver from LSU. At pick number 6, the New York Giants select Rome Odunze, wide receiver from Washington. At pick number 7, the Tennessee Titans select Joe Alt, offensive tackle from Notre Dame. At pick number 8, the Atlanta Falcons select Dallas Turner, edge rusher from Alabama. At pick number 9, Chicago Bears say, let's go get a tackle from Washington, Troy Fautanu. And pick number 10, the New York Jets selected Brock Bowers, tight end out of Georgia. Man, I think, passing by 4. I don't think we ever have to talk about 4 until something different happens. Ohio State and Marvin Harrison's been locked into 4 since probably the end of the season. Keith, yep. Drake Maye being QB2 to the Washington Commanders. And by the way, caveat, our guy, Ryan Fowler, is a Washington Commanders guy, right? That's his QB2, by the way.
He worked for the Commanders, right? So
he worked for Commanders, correct?
Yeah, very familiar with that organization.
So, how do you feel about Drake Maye going there? I think Cliff Kingsbury is the OC, right? The new OC. So, how do you feel about? Do you feel like Drake Maye is a better fit for that scheme with Cliff Kingsbury than the Jayden Daniels?
I'm kind of in between with this, and can I almost be undecided, DP, about the Drake Maye conversation as far as with Cliff Kingsbury? We all know, right? Our every day, as y'all know, I was pounding the table for the Washington Commanders to move up, get Caleb Williams, pair him with the air raid guy with Cliff Kingsbury, but that's clearly not going to happen, right? The Bears are going to take Caleb Williams, so that's over for me, DP. That whole narrative is over with for me. But Drake Maye with Cliff Kingsbury, I think this is a doable situation because Drake Maye, he's a high volume thrower to me, in my opinion, right? He's a guy that can drop back and throw it 30, 40 times a game consistently. But I also think when everything is right mechanically, he's a consistent, accurate passer too, right? And so I think some of the throws that Cliff Kingsbury is going to want him to make, I think he can make those throws. And I think he is a 3-level guy, right? Short, intermediate, and deep ball. He can get all 3 of those levels. So I actually don't mind the pairing. Now, how will Washington Commanders respond to that? Because now this would be the 3rd North Carolina quarterback, their 2nd North Carolina quarterback, right, with Sam Howell, and then their 3rd a third North Carolina quarterback to I guess have a high profile as far as when you throw in Mitchell Trubisky with the Chicago Bears also. So I wonder how much that's going to play into the situation. But I actually don't mind the pairing of Drake Maye with Cliff Kingsbury and the Washington Commanders because they have the weapons. Now with Jayden Daniels being with the Washington Commanders, I would have to ask this. What are they going to ask Jayden to do? I haven't seen Cliff Kingsbury. Well, I don't say that, right? But it's more scramble drill type stuff as far as QB design, just in my opinion, with Cliff Kingsbury. And I would want an OC that understands, hey, we have to call more quarterback design runs.
Yeah, and I think Cliff, he did a little bit of that with Kyler, where he would call the read option, the QB keep on the edge. He, of course, he didn't run him a ton between the tackles for good reason, right? You don't want Kyler Murray on QB power encounters, but I think both those guys will fit to an extent, especially from a passing standpoint. Cliff is going to probably live in that 11 personnel, spread, air raid if he runs his offense, right? You know what I mean? Unless he runs the offense that Dan Quinn kind of wants him to run or base it around, it might be a little different for who he is. It's been more of this kind of spread, make the defense cover everything, right? Open it up, open concepts, and then kind of just get the ball out to whoever's open, that type of thing. Be able to allow the quarterback to pick apart. He'll give you options short, intermediate, and deep down the field. And when you got Terry McLaurin, you have Jahan Dotson. They brought in Zach Ertz, who also has, history with Cliff during his time in Arizona. I think either one of these guys would fit. In terms of the better fit, I think it might be. I think long term it'll be Drake. I said because I do believe that Cliff he's more prone to call the passing concepts than the run game. He'll lean on the passing concepts, even when he should run. You know what I mean? 3rd and 5, 3rd and 2 inside the 5. Oh, he's throwing it half the time. You know what I mean? That was the big headache with him in Arizona.
I have a question. Do you think, because we have to answer this question before we transition real quick, do you think that Drake Maye's, I guess, media popularity is also dropping a little bit? Like I know Caleb Williams is, like a lot of people are, in a weird spot with Caleb, and we just talked about that on the last podcast, right? But with Drake Maye, do you think his is kind of dropping a little bit just as far as perception and people poking holes in his game? And then to me, Jayden Daniels and JJ McCarthy are the two that's kind of still elevating somewhere, like inch by inch, they're still elevating.
No, 100%. For whatever reason, the talk around Drake Maye has gotten ridiculous, like to where people is either Jayden at QB2. Now I'm seeing JJ McCarthy might be QB3 come to draft time. I'm like, yeah, y'all can miss me with the smoke and mirrors. I don't believe that. There's no way you watch Drake Maye and JJ McCarthy's tape, and we're both fans of JJ McCarthy on this pod. It's a vast difference where one guy was absolutely asked to do everything for his team, and the other guy was asked, hey, just be a piece, right? But yeah, so I think the talk about JJ has definitely, or about Drake Maye has definitely faltered. But Keith, quick tidbits. You got 3 in a row. Marvin Harrison Jr., Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze. Love to see the receivers. But this one right here, number 9, I got the text Fowler said, what are we doing? All right, I love Troy. Don't get me wrong. But at 9, that's really high. And I know that there's the mass consensus. You're talking about Drake Maye. The mass consensus has for the last 2 months has dropped when it comes down to Olu Fashanu, but in no way, shape, or form am I drafting Troy Fautanu over Olu. I can't, because of you. If the main thing is that that Olu's hands need work, yeah, Troy hands need a lot of work, like a ton of work. And it's like both of them super athletes, strong, aggressive, physical dudes. But give me the guy with the true, for me, all pro type of ceiling, that freak athlete that he is in terms of Olu Fashanu, arm length, everything in his favor. Some of the strongest pair of hands in the class too. Yeah, I don't. That pick caught me completely off guard. I was like, whoa, Chicago needs another tackle, and they reach in this situation for Troy, who I love, by the way. I gave him a 1st-round grade. I didn't give him a top 10 grade though.
Yep. Well, DP, let's keep this thing going, man. We are on to picks 11 through 20, man. And listen, if Troy Fautanu caught you off guard, DP, we have to figure out where our guy is going, right? Where did he fall to? Where did Olu Fashanu fall to? We're going to figure out, where did JJ McCarthy go? I heard Bo Nix was a top 15 pick in this mock draft. So coming up next, we are about to get into picks 11 through 20.
Did you know that even if you have a 401k for retirement, you can still have an IRA? Robinhood has the only IRA that gives you a 3% boost on every dollar you contribute when you subscribe to Robinhood Gold. But get this, now through April 30th, Robinhood is even boosting every single dollar you transfer in from other retirement accounts with a 3% match. That's right, no cap on the 3% match. Robinhood Gold gets you the most for your retirement thanks to their IRA with a 3% match. This offer is good through April 30th. Get started at robinhood.com/boost. Subscription fees apply. And now for some legal info. Claim as of Q1 2024, validated by Radius Global Market Research. Investing involves risk, including loss. Limitations apply to IRAs and 401ks. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold for 1 year from the date of first 3% match. Must keep Robinhood IRA for 5 years. The 3% matching on transfers is subject to specific terms and conditions. Robinhood IRA available to U.S. customers in good standing. Robinhood Financial LLC is a registered broker-dealer. You mentioned J.J. McCarthy at number 11. The Minnesota Vikings said, we don't have to trade up. We're going to go with J.J. McCarthy at 11. He fell into their laps at pick number 11, quarterback out of Michigan. At pick 12, the Denver Broncos select Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. At pick 13, the Las Vegas Raiders select Talise Fuaga, offensive tackle from Oregon State. At pick 14, the New Orleans Saints select Olu Fashanu, offensive tackle from Penn State. At pick 15, the Indianapolis Colts select Quinyon Mitchell, cornerback from Toledo. At pick 16, the Seattle Seahawks select Johnny Jerzon Newton, interior defensive lineman from Illinois. At pick 17, the Jacksonville Jaguars select Kool-Aid McKinstry, cornerback from Alabama. At pick 18, the Cincinnati Bengals select J.C. Latham, offensive tackle from Alabama. At pick number 19, the Los Angeles Rams select Cooper DeJean, cornerback from Iowa. And at pick 20, the Pittsburgh Steelers select Amarius Mims, offensive tackle out of Georgia. I got to go back up to 11 and 12. First off, at number 11, this is a wishful thinking. I do not think that the Vikings, who just made that trade last week to get that extra first from Houston, they're not staying pat. They're moving up, right? It's all about who's going to answer the phone, who's cool with dropping back. They're moving into that top 5. I honestly, truly believe that, but this is the guy I think that they're going to go get, unless Washington or unless New England, as some people are starting to rumble again, New England and maybe even Washington are willing to move back. I think it's just a lot of smoke and mirrors right now. But Keith, pick 12, the Denver Broncos selecting Bo Nix, quarterback out of Oregon. Man, this one is if this was a second round, Keith, I'm all for it, right? You know, I'm all for this because that Broncos team definitely needs a quarterback, but they have some other issues as well, right? You know what I mean? Like offensive line. I think they just lost Lloyd Cushenberry to I think that was their center, interior offensive lineman, to the Tennessee Titans for a big deal. Trade off Jerry Jeudy. You know, your tight ends is you know what I mean? Like you defense, you know, you need another edge rusher. They have some issues. Release Justin Simmons. Like
they need wide receiver help.
Absolutely. So to take Bo, I don't know if you're setting Bo up at least right as a rookie for the best case scenario with a Sean Payton, who in his older age seems to have less and less patience. So I don't know about this. If this is second round, I'm all for it, but I feel like this is a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, I agree with you. And we always talk about teams being ready to take a quarterback. I said this, I think the last time we went through a mock draft Monday, right? The Denver Broncos appear from a talent perspective to be moving backwards right now. And I don't know if they're like stripping this thing all the way down so then they can build it back up. I have no idea, right? But I mean, the wide receiver core, the offensive line, right? The defensive side of the football is missing key pieces that when a couple years ago, you looked at this Denver Broncos team when Russell Wilson first got there, and you're like, hey, this team could be ready to contend for, an AFC championship, small percentage Super Bowl type team, right? It from a talent perspective, it appears that they're far off from there. And then, like you said, missing the most important position in all of sports, right? The quarterback position in the NFL. So the pick, I get it if you're talking about a need and a player, but I don't see instant success, and I could be wrong, right? Because we're talking about Sean Payton, one of the better offensive minds. I just don't see it right at this moment.
Yeah, I don't either. And like I said, I think talent is a caveat. Tools are there, really good mobility and athleticism, good arm talent, coach's kid, right? So you assume the coachability is there for him, for Bo Nix. So I think he'll do well and could do well with Sean Payton calling plays, but it's just at this spot, it's just a little bit of a reach to me. See, there's some good spots here. Keith, Kool-Aid McKinstry to Jacksonville. I like that a lot. I like that a lot.
I like it a lot, man. And I can't wait to see Kool-Aid at his pro day. Like I said, I think this has just simply been an out of sight, out of mind prospect, right? But you cut the film on and we talked about prospect fatigue. It's a combination of all of it, DP. But this is still a highly talented player. And especially in this cornerback class, like I said, where everybody still has a little bit of a question mark. I felt really good about Christian Gonzalez, right? I felt like that was a sure thing. Obviously, Derek Stingley the year before, I felt like that was a sure thing. This year, I'm looking at it, I'm like, really good talent, but I don't know if there's A++ premier, write it down, etch it in stone that this guy is going to be, for sure. There's all these guys have a couple holes, and I think that is prime for Kool-Aid to have a situation being with Jacksonville, and I like it a lot.
No, same here, Keith. I think 15, Quinyon Mitchell, the growing, developing corner that test. He's had the best draft process and draft season out of any prospect, man. The dominance at the Senior Bowl, dominating the combine with testing and everything else. He's an outstanding interview and awesome person as well. So I think he's kind of locked himself in as a potential top 20 at no worse than top 25 pick. And then lastly, I would say J.C. Latham to the Cincinnati Bengals, man. You lose Jonah Williams. You gotta add another piece on that offensive line. And when you bring in Zach Moss, you released or traded away, Joe Mixon to the Houston Texans for, I think, a late round pick or whatever it was. Jonah Williams goes to the Arizona Cardinals. This is a situation where you bring in Zach Moss, and now you add that level of physicality to your run game to where, hey, Joe Burrow, I don't need you to carry the load snap after snap, game after game. We can run the ball. You know what I mean? Well, they can run the ball with Joe Mixon, but it's just going to bring a little bit of a different flavor to it. And we all know that J.C. Latham is one of the more physical and aggressive guys in this class. I love that move.
Yeah, no, I'm when I first seen it, I was all in for it. I really like it, and like you said, just rounding out Cooper DeJean with the Rams, Pittsburgh Steelers, and Marius Mims. Everybody seems to like that selection. But DP, let's keep this thing going and flowing. And you know where we at? We are on to picks. My favorite picks, right? Of any mock draft first round picks, 21 through 32. Coming up next, man, when we got some of these playoff teams, seeing how what they say the rich getting richer. We're about to check that out with picks 21 through 32.
Guys, you shouldn't have to worry when it comes down to buying tickets to your next big event. But if you wait to the last minute, you will, because you're trying to compete with other buyers as well as find the best deals. But let me introduce you to Game Time. They are the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. Let me tell your family about their other benefits. Last minute tickets, flash deals, zone deals. The tickets are easy to find and buy. And this is my favorite part. This is what I love the most about using the Game Time app. They show the views from all the seats in the venue. So before you purchase your ticket, you know what vantage point you will have. Guys, Steph Curry and the Golden State Warriors are coming to the Spectrum Center on next Friday, March 29th at 7 p.m. to face the Charlotte Hornets. Those tickets right now are as cheap as $104 a piece on the Game Time app. So download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use the code Locked On for $20 off your first purchase. Thank y'all for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers, man. We love y'all and appreciate y'all. Let's close this thing out. At pick 21, the Miami Dolphins select Byron Murphy II, interior defensive lineman from Texas. At pick 22, the Philadelphia Eagles go with Terrion Arnold, cornerback from Alabama. At pick 23, the Minnesota Vikings, with that pick from the Houston Texans, select Graham Barton, interior offensive line from Duke. At pick 24, the Dallas Cowboys select Jackson Powers Johnson, interior offensive lineman from Oregon. At pick 25, the Green Bay Packers select Tyler Guyton, offensive tackle from Oklahoma. At pick 26, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers get Leatu Latu, edge rusher from UCLA. At pick 27, the Arizona Cardinals select Nate Wiggins, cornerback from Clemson. At pick 28, the Buffalo Bills select Keon Coleman, wide receiver from Florida State. At pick 29, the Detroit Lions select Adonai Mitchell, wide receiver from Texas. At pick 30, the Baltimore Ravens select Kingsley Sewell-Mattia, offensive tackle from BYU. At pick 31, the San Francisco 49ers select Jarrett Verse, edge rusher out of Florida State. And at pick 32, the the Super Bowl champions, Kansas City Chiefs select Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan. Keith, I'm going to start right here. I really like Roman. Adding Hollywood Brown to me absolutely moves them off of pick 32 from wide receiver, because there's a lot of talk about losing L'Jarius Sneed. There's issues at tackle that they need to clean up. They have some other needs where, and then for me, as much as I like Roman and as good as he was at the Senior Bowl, this is a reach to me to go get Roman at 32, especially when you could add, I think, more impactful players night one at either tackle, corner, and then I think there's also receivers that they're just flat out better than Roman that are still available and on the board. I think he'll be a solid fit. I just think that this was a little bit of a reach.
Yeah, I agree with you, and I get it, the perspective of, hey, get a guy that does a bunch of different things, but it seems like they've tried to run those guys into Kansas City a couple different times, right? The Sky Moores and then Kadarius Tonys, right? The Mecole Hardmans, they've tried that, and I just think I think Roman Wilson, and he could potentially be more talented than all those guys. I like Roman also. But I think that they need a different body, right? Like when you transitioning from Travis Kelce, you're probably looking for a number one, a 6'2" type of wide receiver, right? Rashid, let him do what he's going to do. So I just think it's a little rich, right? And like you said, there are other wide receivers that fit that body profile that you can potentially get later on in the draft. But DP, I have a couple takeaways. First is that Fowler, it doesn't appear that he's very high on the edge rushers, right? We're getting Leatu Latu in the 20s, right? And Jarrett Verse in the 20s. So we'll have to bring him on to be able to talk about that conversation to see, what he does or doesn't like in the edge rushers. And I'm not going to say like that's totally out the way, right? Because I think this is a talented first round. As far as prospects and stuff, anybody can fall, as far as just falling down the board, positional value, not meeting certain thresholds athletically. But I will say that I think they probably will go higher than that. And then I'm going to just wrap up my take, DP, with pick 24 by the Dallas Cowboys, who have done absolutely nothing in free agency. And I don't understand how they feel like they got better. But Jackson Powers Johnson to the Oregon Center to the Dallas Cowboys, I think this is a slam dunk pick. I just tweeted it out, DP. I said this, and it's crazy that he had this matchup. I said that Jackson Powers Johnson, I think he can have the same type of impact when Travis Frederick got drafted to the Dallas Cowboys, the same exact type of impact, meaning that Travis Frederick was drafted. If you remember that time, everybody criticized that pick, right? But the guy had a 7-year career or 8-year, and I think he was a 6-time Pro Bowler, a 6-time All-Pro type of guy. And when you think about it, the minute he retired, DP, that's the minute that Dallas Cowboys offensive line stopped being dominant, right? Stopped being one of the best in the NFL, like a top 3 NFL offensive line unit. I think Jackson Powers Johnson has the potential to have that type of impact when I watched him. So that was my last takeaway, and that's the pick that I really like.
Well, I love that pick, and I saw your tweet. I think I retweeted because it's true. Like the Travis Frederick, like that's spot on to me. 21. I love this move. You lose Christian Wilkins to the Las Vegas Raiders for the Miami Dolphins. I think this is an outstanding get for them to then get Byron Murphy and kind of try to replace what you lost. And I think Byron Murphy, he compares to Christian Wilkins pretty well to me. You know what I mean? In terms of power, get off, hand usage, a guy that can play the run very well, but also that can't collapse the pocket and get into those interior lanes and into the face of the quarterback, as we saw time and time again. We saw it in the playoff game against Washington, just moving, Michael Penix off his spot. Unfortunately, that was a game Michael Penix looked like C.J. Stroud versus Georgia, and they had no answer for him. But I like that pick a lot, Keith. And like I said, I think overall, good mock by Fowler. Definitely some interesting things here. And the last thing, 29, the Adnan Mitchell to the Detroit Lions was caught me slipping. I didn't expect that because to me, they still need cornerback help. And when you had corners on the board, still, don't get me wrong. I mean, Adnan's a dude. He's a baller. But that one caught me off guard a little bit. But overall, good mock by Fowler, man. We definitely got to get him on to hear just kind of his thought process, especially when it comes to the edge. And that Troy and Olu, I got to have that discussion with Fowler.
For sure. And the Commanders conversation, right? Just to get his insight on the Commanders situation. But DP, that wraps up another mock draft Monday, man. Another Locked On NFL Draft podcast. I want to say shout out to our everydayers. Thank you for tapping in with us each and every single day. We are the go-to source for everything NFL draft, the best NFL draft content there is out there. If you haven't hit the like button, go ahead and like. If you haven't commented, make sure you drop a comment. And if you're not subscribed to the YouTube channel, subscribe to the best NFL draft content there is, and tell a friend to come on over here, man. Check out this NFL draft content. I am Keith Sanchez. You can find me on X at The Talent Code. That right there, that's my guy, Damian Parson. You can find him on X at DP_NFL. Like we always like to say, man, y'all come talk to us because we like to talk back.
Go subscribe and follow for free on YouTube, wherever you listen to podcasts, to get the latest episode as soon as it is available. Thank you for making Locked On NFL Draft your first listen today and every day. Shout out for being our everydayers. On tomorrow's episode, we're going to get into some perfect fits. We're going to get into a lot more things for this draft process as we inch closer and closer to the 2024 NFL draft class and the NFL draft in general. So come and join the conversation again tomorrow on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.